airstrikes in Tehran. Israel has air superiority over the skies of Iran, and the days of the IRGC are numbered. The big question is, will the United States of America join this war or just lend us some B-2, B-52 bombers? I'm here with Mati Shoshani, who's on uniform. We have 1 hour with him, and then he's going back to the IDF to defend us in Judea and Samaria. And he had a birthday this week. Happy birthday, Mati Shoshani.
Thank you very much.
Let us know in the comments what you wish for this guy. I wish for him to sleep and to be at home, not wearing uniform.
We all.
I second that. Man, it's been an unbelievable week. We were live last night, Yair, and I was recapping in my head how much has happened in the last 4 or 5 days. And this is not a feeling. Objectively speaking, there's been more history that's taken place in, what is it, Thursday?
7 days?
So in the last 6, 7 days than happened in the last 2 years of, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of engaging with the Iranians. Exactly. And what's happened has completely reshaped the world that we're living in. It has changed the power balance in the Middle East. It has changed the perception of power, the alliances that people carry. I mean, everything is different in this world right now. And Israel is the biggest winner of everything that's happened up till now. And I think that's the important thing to remember.
Yes.
We are a small player in a small country that is punching above 5 weight classes above its weight class. We're fighting against the regional superpower that has spent considerably more money than we spend on defense every year for decades.
But they don't spend it on defense. They spend it on terrorism and offensive measures of other proxies in this region.
Well, terrorism is a lot cheaper than defense.
Yeah, true.
And that's important to note. And we're, well, I can't say this expression out loud. I'll just say that we're beating them really, really hard in Iran right now. and it's been done in a public way.
We're kicking them.
Yeah. We're kicking them in the butt and taking names, and we're all out of names to take. So anyway, it's been unbelievable. It's been in a historic week, and everything else is just small details. And I think that's the important thing to remember.
Yeah, so let's recap on the events in the last 74 hours or basically 6 days. What the IDF has achieved is unbelievable. So everything started with an underground campaign of the Mossad, an Israeli spy agency, in which Israel imported thousands of drones and armed them with weapons into the Islamic Republic of Iran. Imagine a hangar owned by Israeli Mossad agents filled with drones inside Tehran and multiple bases like that. And then the Israeli commando spies in Iran launched this operation to destroy the aerial defensive systems of the Islamic Republic just minutes before the Israeli Air Force conducted its strike to destroy the rest of the defensive capabilities of Iran. This is what happened. And what's...
Can I challenge that timeline?
Yeah.
So here's a story I think most people outside of Israel wouldn't know. That in the last, Tom will correct me, 10 to 12 years.
There is, say, more than 20 years.
But publicly, known to the public for at least 10 years, every year the government has said publicly, we're spending a substantial amount of money, and it's in over 10 billion shekels a year. On some years, 8 billion shekels other years, preparing for a war against a top-tier adversary. And everyone knew they were talking about Iran. Sometimes it was made public, and sometimes it wasn't.
Yeah.
And this goes on for years and years and years. And about 2-3 years ago, when the war with Gaza starts, October 7th, 2023, everyone said, we misspent that cash. But there's a backstory here that leads up to this moment where someone, and again, credit needs to be given to Netanyahu for this.
Exactly.
Personally, by the way. This man saw this coming many, many years ago. And it sounded for a while like he was, the
cry wolf.
Crying wolf again and again and again. And
Iran.
Yeah. But in the back rooms and in the Mossad headquarters and in the Shabak headquarters and in many other intelligence agencies that are unnamed in Israel, there was a lot of money and a lot of brilliant people thinking about this day. And when that day came, it wasn't that the night before they came up with the plans. It was a culmination of over a decade of work and funding that had the brightest, the bravest, and the craziest of Israeli intelligence agencies thinking about all the impossible things that can be done to an adversary.
Exactly.
And then they got to press the button on that at one night.
Yeah.
That's what led us to June 13th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had all the targets lined up, and we still do. We have hundreds of high-value strategic targets in Iran. The Air Force knows exactly where to strike or where the opening shaft of a missile launcher underground is located, and is prepared, is waiting. They know the houses of the Iranian leaders, the military commanders, where they live, their routines. Everything was ready in advance. We have intelligence against Iran, and that's why this operation looks like it does, and not like a mess that compared to what we had with the Houthis in Yemen, that we do not have as much intelligence as we do in Iran.
Yeah,
but before we're gonna continue,
well, I know where this is going.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we continue, guys, if you're watching us at home and you're one of two of our viewers, half of our viewers that have not yet subscribed to this channel,
shame on you.
No, not shame on you. Well, that's not nice. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Pause this video for just a sec. We'll still be here when you get back. And like, share, and subscribe. And the reason you do that, because it tells the gods of the algorithm that you like this content and lets other people view this content. Even the fact of just pressing the share button on YouTube lets YouTube know that this is content that should reach more eyes. And the way we grow, the way we reach more people with the truth is by doing exactly that.
Yes.
And back to the content.
Wait, but Mati, I know that yesterday, in your birthday, when you blew the candles, your wish was that people would click the subscribe button for this channel.
That wasn't my wish.
Oh.
I'm happy for people to click the subscribe button, but I have more specific wishes. But back to your comment, people view, I think, and many countries often view intelligence as like this static thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not. It's both a predetermined set of targets and a dynamic set of targets. And I'll explain that sentence. When we attacked in Iran, the moment of the attack, you're building on a very, very large archive of intelligence targets. So executives, the whereabouts of them, their daily activities, their patterns, the static targets, missile launchers, bunkers, command centers, etc. But then there's a whole other set of intelligence keys that has to do with on-the-ground or on-the-move kind of intelligence. In other words, if I know then so-and-so person is in this place, but I need to have eyes on him both electronically and sometimes physically to know his whereabouts after the first strike. And what's really interesting is, and this is important for people to understand, Israel wasn't successful because we have the biggest Air Force. We
definitely don't.
We don't have the biggest Air Force in the Middle East. Not far from it, actually. We just have a very effective Air Force.
And very
creative and
experienced pilots, for sure.
But the thing is the pilot can only be as good as the target that he's given by intelligence.
Exactly.
And the intelligence that they received was a result of over a decade of building an infrastructure within Iran. And that infrastructure allowed us multiple waves of assassinations against executives in both the IRGC, the army, and the Iranian nuclear program. And the way that worked is, and this is really interesting, that intelligence has been coming out in recent days, is let's say on night number 1, you know their house, you assume they're going to be in their house. That seems, once you have that intelligence, almost like a natural progression.
Yeah.
But after that initial strike, the number 2s, the number 3s, they look at that and they say, I got to get out of here. They pack their bag, they burn their phone, and they hit the road.
And that number 5 is already gone, long gone from the area.
But what's amazing is part of the amazing success of the Israeli intelligence organizations and the Air Force is we were able to strike also the number 2s and 3s, not on the first night, on subsequent nights of this attack. Mm-hmm. And the way that happened was, one, many of them were just stupid, and they didn't change their patterns. They just kept going to work as if nothing happened. And it's crazy to me that you have a full-on attack by an enemy country on your country. They kill the chief executive. You're number 2 or 3.
Other.
No, they killed all the top echelon of the programs, and then you're number 2, 3, or 4, and you just show up at the office the next day as if nothing happened.
Exactly. So punch in. Yeah.
Something's really, really flawed in their decision-making patterns. But one way or another, Israeli intelligence was still able to track them even the next day and the next day. And then because they, I guess, didn't take it seriously enough, we were able to eliminate additional executives. And now the Iranians are at a point where they've lost most of their top chain of command in multiple branches of the government.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, when you think about a government...
We even took over the television.
Yeah. But think about this. Someone was equating...
During a live show.
Exactly. Someone was equating this the other day to the Manhattan Project. And it was as if, think about it this way, you have a project and the top scientist and the project manager are both knocked out in one night.
Yeah.
You don't.
How can you continue to work?
Yeah. The movie Oppenheimer never comes out.
Exactly.
because there is no nuclear program.
Oh, definitely. If you have like the project manager that is sick for 3 days, the project freezes. So imagine a scale of the nuclear Iranian ballistic missile project.
Exactly. And someone that's been leading it for 20 years.
Exactly.
That's a scale of that.
So let's go down the list of targets that were struck so far. So we have command and intelligence HQ in Tehran. We have the Arak, the Natanz, the Khondab, the Parchin, which are connected to the nuclear program of Iran. We have launcher belts, anti-rocket defensive systems in Qom, in Kermeshach, in Tabriz that were also struck. We have the elimination of Hussein Salami, of Bagheri, of Rashid, of Shamkhani, and 3 other nuclear scientists.
All of
that
the
were
West.
terminated.
This is the speed is amazing. As we're sitting here, there's more intelligence coming in from the military spokesperson saying there's another target that was hit
Just now.
as we're sitting here. The Arak nuclear facility. It literally just popped up.
Oh, this is the heavy water facility,
Yeah, that's
right?
the heavy water.
That's the speed that the IDF is working.
Wow.
The IDF didn't touch that yet. That's the first time we're attacking there.
So, yeah, I think we need to explain this because it seems to people, and one, I think a lot of the imagery has been confusing. They say Israel says it was destroyed, then they look, wait, there's only holes in the buildings. But what people need to understand is enriching uranium, which is what the Iranians have been working on for a very long time, is the hardest and most expensive and time-consuming process in reaching nuclear military capability. And the way to do that is multiple sort of staggered processes of enriching uranium in centrifuges. And it's a delicate process, and it's a process that builds up over time. As in the first phase of it is very slow and very long, and as you progress in the level of enrichment, it gets much faster, much quicker. Yeah. They were, let's say, somewhere in the area of 60%. They needed to push multiple more weeks on many of the facilities. Targets that Israel hit, we might have not actually destroyed fully the centrifuges, but we knocked out power or communication or control over the facility, and then the centrifuges broke down. Yeah. And that too is something that was important to have.
Or also, you have multiple factories that each of them is creating one part of the centrifuges. So you destroy one factory that creates the metal of the centrifuges, and that disrupts the whole operation. Yeah. Then you destroy another factory that creates a little, mechanism within the centrifuge that destroys that ability to create that. So that's how you disrupt the whole industry of creating nuclear bombs, basically.
Yeah.
Mati, I want to touch base on the preparations for the Israeli strikes that basically the hardest thing about striking in Iran was that it's so far away, and you need to refuel the planes mid-air. So I just did a special explainer about the Israeli Air Force. And in the last year, Israel, together with the United States, were able to upgrade one of its fighter jets so that the fuel system will be enough to launch an attack and then to come back to Israel.
The claims that the F-35 is able to fuel mid-air?
Exactly.
I heard about that.
Yes. And then they did that, so they basically enhanced the capability and the amount of fuel that this plane carries without endangering it and without exposing it to radars and to anti-airplane defensive systems, which is just amazing. And the cool thing is that we tested these stuff against the Houthis in Yemen just a few weeks ago or a few months ago in the aerial strikes, and we developed more and more capabilities against the Houthis before launching this attack against Iran.
Yeah. I think that's amazing on a technological level.
Yeah.
If you know how much it costs to bring a plane like the F-35 or the F-22, to bring it from R&D into full integration into a fighting force, it is many, many, many years and tens or hundreds of billions of dollars to get to that point. And then comes along some tiny little army.
Exactly.
In the Middle East.
Let's develop it even better.
You
upgrade it.
You forgot an important piece of this plane.
Let's strip it apart and reassemble it.
This isn't good enough. And they go back and they're able to build, to test, and then to roll out into use.
And then the
system
US?
that fuels a stealth jet fighter in air while it's still operational. That's nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, and then resell these upgrades back to the United States. So it's just amazing to see. And Israel is doing that with all of our military industries, from M16 rifles to tanks to Air Force to the Navy. Yeah. So we get the stuff mainly from the United States of America and other countries around the world.
And Germany.
And Germany also, yeah. And then we upgrade them with counter-cyber technologies and other upgrades like precision munitions, precise systems, and other stuff that help us fight the way that the IDF knows and likes to fight in this war.
So I want to make sure we have some time to talk about the U.S., because this has been a topic that's been bothering me. Let's just recap. Israel struck. We had an amazing intelligence. We had a huge amount of assets on the ground. And we've been just, again, systematically dominating the airspace of Iran. We've been doing so for day after day after day, to the point of non-stealth fighters flying at low altitude in daytime over Iranian cities and doing so unchallenged by Iranian air defenses. We've seen slight
footage of them shooting
evidence
in the skies.
of them shooting in the skies. It looks like they don't have the ability to even lock on radar with radar systems.
Not sure that they have radar systems. We took out a lot of them.
It seems that way. Yeah. And that comment, by the way, ties into the whole relationship with the Russians, where the Iranians were reliant on Russian air defense systems, and they have proven to be a heap of junk, essentially, against Israeli systems and American systems.
Exactly.
Which is, one, that's a history maker kind of comment, because it was a country that was one of the adversarial blocks against the U.S., selling weapons to all its enemies. Now, everyone who looks at that, including, by the way, the Chinese and other countries who've been rebuilding and retrofitting their systems, looks at this and says, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because these systems simply don't work. It literally looks like beta test versions of what a weapon should be. They just fly in the wrong direction while the jet fighters just bomb the targets undisturbed. Anyway, obviously it's more complicated than that, but we talk about that.
So you think that the United States will join this war or not?
No.
You don't think?
No.
Really? Not even lend us, one B-2 bomber?
I hope they do, but I'm frustrated. I want to say this openly. I feel like there was a window of opportunity here, and President Trump and the U.S. administration, his sort of cabinet members related to the Middle East, were very, very bold. They were pounding their chests and saying, watch out, Iran. Yeah. We're coming for you.
Ayatollah, you're next.
Yeah, you're next.
We know where you are.
Look at the bombers. They're releasing the videos with the action music and the Top Gun soundtrack and all that jazz. And they're pumping up everyone, and all the airmen in the U.S. bases are going, yes, here it comes, and then it doesn't come. And a month goes by, and a second month goes by, and a third month goes by, and they have, I don't know how many soldiers it is. Let's say it's in the hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and weapon systems that have cost hundreds of billions of dollars to build, all parked in front of Iran, and the only one who's attacking Iran is tiny little Israel. And Trump then, he comes out multiple days into the attack, and he says, we're dominating Iranian airspace. No, you're not.
We are.
Israel is, and we're still waiting for you to join us. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the help. We appreciate the defensive measures that the U.S. has helped Israel with in shooting down drones and other missiles.
And intelligence.
Yeah. But look, there's only one air-dominant force in the world, and it's called the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Marines and the U.S. Army. And which is the last one?
U.S. Navy.
The U.S. Navy, thank you.
One day, Mati will know all the branches of the American
in one sentence.
Military power.
Anyway, they have everything. They have the bombers. They have the landing crafts. They have the electronic warfare. They have all of it. And I know they're giving us aid with some of it, but one, I mean, have some pity for the the air crews that have been waiting for years. For
they're on standby.
They've been sitting in standby on bases and on aircraft carriers for 6 months now, waiting for someone to give them the green light. Meanwhile, they're watching as nonstop Israeli fighters
go to Iran, then to Gaza, then to the Houthis, then to Hezbollah, then to Syria.
They're just sitting on the deck of the carriers, looking up. Oh, look, it's Moshe again. Fifth bombing mission of Moshe again. Fifth bombing mission of the day. And meanwhile, I'm sitting here, polishing my shoes. So one, have pity for the airmen and the crews of the American bomber teams. But two, look, like they've been talking the talk. It's time to walk the walk. And it's time, and I think this is important. The U.S. has repositioned itself.
When you want to shoot.
Exactly.
Don't talk.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk. And there hasn't been action to back it up. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important both for Israel to have the U.S. step up and show that it's willing to use force. But I'd say this, even forget Israel for a second. The U.S. needs to show that it means business.
Yeah.
They've been making threats again and again against the Iranians. Some of these are very, very bold and bullish threats. We're going to assassinate your leadership. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to take you back to the Stone Age. It's very like bold threats. Mm-hmm. Come on, take some action.
Do it.
And
Yeah.
we're like sort of at the end of the game here. Israel says we need several more days to finish our target list. And then, the U.S. is saying, well, we're coming. So come on. What are you waiting for? Everyone's here. They've trained. We've trained together, Israel and the U.S., to a degree that I think most people aren't aware of. We've had Israeli air crew on American bombers training bombing missions in Iran. I mean, we're ready.
We're ready for this
We're ready.
scenario.
Let's
Exactly.
do it, guys.
Yeah.
Let's see the attack.
Plus, the United States just brought in another aircraft carrier. It's underway now. I forgot the name. I think something Gerald Ford or something. USS Gerald Ford. Right, Tomer?
Tomer, do you approve?
Yes, yes.
Okay, my memory is
I didn't remember.
improving. Not bad. And it's on the way here. We have I think 3 already aircraft carriers. So the pilots are here. The forces are here. Diego Garcia Island has all the B-2, B-52 bombers, which is the same distance as Israel, maybe a few hundred meters less or more. So everything is ready. The boots are here on the ground, and we can carry this
50,000
together.
soldiers.
50,000 soldiers, I think, is enough. And
But they're using the most advanced weapon systems ever created by mankind.
Exactly.
Before we get to the punchline of why this is so important, I think it's important that we tell people how they can support what we're doing here.
Exactly.
4 B-52s, 6 B-2s, and countless of number of
but also,
F-15,
again,
F-16, and F-35.
The point isn't just the numbers. The point is the weapon systems.
Yes.
The force multiplier is that these soldiers are not, in a tent in the sand.
It's not the trench warfare that you have one bullet against one bullet and who's hitting, better. It's basically the weapon systems that are a force multiplier that can destroy entire cities or precisely hit the target without wasting hundreds and hundreds of mortars and rockets and ammunitions that is not precise.
It's not just that. The U.S. armed forces, their budget annually, it surpasses that of many countries, Israel included, by the way.
Together.
Combined.
Yeah.
Just the military, the defense budget. And in that you have the best pilots, the best bomber pilots, flying in the best planes, taking off from the best equipped bases or the best equipped aircraft carrier. Mm-hmm. And they're launching the best and the most expensive missiles, anti-aircraft, anti-surface weapons ever created by mankind. And not only that, they're also able to launch bunker busters that have been built specifically for this mission.
Exactly.
It's exactly what they're supposed to do. They're all waiting. It needs to happen. But before we get to the punchline of what will happen when they do that, I think we need to explain to people how they can get behind what we're doing here.
Yeah, exactly, Mati. And I think it's important to understand that this war has been fought on multiple fronts since day one, since October 7. Okay, so one front is the physical front. We have soldiers attacking Israel, terrorists attacking Israel, and then we are defending ourselves. Thank God we are winning this front. The second front is the front of the narrative, the front of sharing the truth of what's happening around the world. And sadly, we are losing this front because you have Ivy League university students that are supporting a terrorist organization, a terrorist regime, instead of the only democratic country in the Middle East. Yeah. And you have marches and demonstrations against Israel. Even now, Israel is being accused as the aggressor by striking Iran's nuclear facilities after the Iranians vowed to destroy us with nuclear weapons. Yes. This is the reality. It just, drives me crazy to see that the truth is being distorted so hard. Yeah. So we need to unite and we need to share the truth. And this is something that you and I have been doing together with our team and Tomer here. And many people behind the scenes here at TBN Israel are working day and night, literally, especially since this new front started against Iran, day and night, creating content, sharing the truth of what is happening, and doing that while we are still serving in the IDF. And then in the meanwhile, uploading videos, going live and reporting what is happening here so that you will know the truth of what's happening in Israel and so that you can pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
So how can people donate for this?
Okay, so guys, if you want to support this campaign, this initiative to share the truth and help us create more videos like this one, you can go to www.tbn.org/standwithisrael. Okay, what Israel needs now is for us to stand with it in sharing the truth. This is the one front that we are still losing in. So if you want to help us in this front, go to www.tbn.org/standwithisrael. Okay, it will really help us, and everything that you donate will go towards creating more videos like this one and sharing what is happening in Israel.
I think it's important, Yair. We're living in the day and age where reality is shaped by what people know, and people don't know a lot of what's happening in the world. The evidence to that is the fact that you hear people calling for Israel to cease its aggression against the poor Iranians. Oh no, boo-hoo, the poor aggressive Iranians. How dare we attack them? How unkind of us. And you look at that and you just say, like, guys, where are you getting your news?
Exactly. Or like to stop your aggression against the Hamas peacekeeping forces, right? That still have 58 of our hostages in the Gaza Strip. Or how
55.
55, yeah.
Yeah?
We all heard the German chancellor yesterday, like for a couple of days, saying that Israel doing the dirty job
of the rest of the world. Absolutely.
I like that. Yeah.
I'm happy
Finally,
they're telling the
somebody that is saying that on a national stage. Israel is doing the dirty job for the whole world.
Absolutely. So now let's get to the point of why the U.S. needs to be part of this.
Okay.
So, and I think this is important. There's multiple elements. One, what you just said, which is the fact that this isn't an Israel-Iran war.
Exactly.
Israel is fighting this war on behalf of the rest of the world. And the reason we're doing this is because the Iranians have sworn, and then they've taken action and allotted a budget to further their desire to bring destruction to the way of life that Israel has, to the Western way of life, to Judeo-Christian values. This is an ideology, not a military plan, an ideology that is diametrically opposed to what we believe in as people. They're directly opposed to the fact that we enjoy the freedoms that we have. And they've sworn to destroy that way of life by building nuclear bombs and killing us with them. And everyone around the world looked at it and said, shame on you, Iran. That's not very nice of you. We don't think that's the right thing to do. And Iran says, oh no, what are you going to do about it? And they said, nothing really. We're going to have a bunch of Europeans in a suit and a lab coat come and like knock on the door of our nuclear facility, and then we're going to just boot them out of the country and not tell them the truth about what we're actually doing.
Not let them enter the actually, nuclear facilities.
So we're doing the dirty work here for let's put it this way, every country that wants to have ships traveling through the Arabian Sea or the Persian Sea, we're doing their dirty work. Every country in the Middle East that wants to be able to export oil, Saudi, Emiratis, Qataris, we're doing their dirty work. Every European country that wants to be able to negotiate without having the Iranians threat, BTW, if you say that, we're launching a missile at your capital, we're doing their dirty work. And that's why the U.S. needs to be part of this attack.
And moreover, Mati, forget about the whole world. We are doing the dirty work to help the Iranian people get rid of this diabolical regime that is suppressing women's rights, that is using all the country's infrastructure, money, oil, in order to invest in terrorism in this region and in instability.
Yeah.
Okay, this is first and foremost helping the Iranian people. The same as destroying Hamas in Gaza is helping the Palestinian Gazan population.
But there's an important distinction there. Prime Minister Netanyahu gave an interview a few days ago to an Iranian journalist, so someone who fled Iran many years ago. And he made the point to state, he said, look, this war isn't against the Iranian people. The Iranian people predominantly don't support the regime.
And we see that.
And we see it. The Iranian people, generally speaking, are opposed to the Revolutionary Guard Corps. They're opposed to the Ayatollah governance. They're opposed to the way of life that they're imposing on them. And they demonstrate unrelated to what's been happening right now with Israel. In Gaza, it's a slightly different story. The majority of the population does support Hamas.
Exactly.
Even now, after a year and a half of warfare, they still, when polled, even anonymously, they still do support Hamas. So it's a different situation. And Prime Minister Netanyahu comes out and says, this war isn't against the Iranian people, it's against the Iranian regime. We're here as allies of the Iranian people, and we're doing this for the Iranian people. And I heard a really important analogy this morning as I was researching for this podcast, where someone else on YouTube who I follow on a regular basis, he made the point and said, look, in Israel's history, or the Jewish people's history, the Persian people play a very important place. They're the ones that bring us back after the exile to this land. And then he says, maybe and this isn't a religious person, we're coming full circle. And they say, history repeats itself. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. That's the line. the Israeli people might be bringing back that same favor to the Iranian people, a message of freedom, a message of being removed from bondage, a message of removing oppression and going back to their original identity.
Yeah.
Not an identity forced on them by radical Islam, not an identity forced on them by the Ayatollah's, oppressive regime, but their true identity as people that are loving, that are creative, that love the people of Israel, by the way, and we hear it all the time.
We see it all the time in the comments here. We are praying for the Iranian people, and we call on you also to pray for them now in these hard times. They have some hard days ahead of them, but they also have hope for a better future with better leadership. Okay, Mati.
So wait, so the U.S. needs to attack.
And are they?
Wait, so let's explain why they need to attack. And I think this is important to understand. This isn't symbolic. Israel flies small planes. Okay, when we attack, we're using F-16s, F-15s. Again, it's the extended range version.
Upgraded version.
But still.
iOS.
Still, these aren't
Air Force.
Yeah, these aren't strategic bombers.
Yeah.
These are multi-purpose fighter jets. We're flying the F-35s, but we're not flying any strategic bombers. And the type of munitions, much of what Israel is trying to do now in Iran, is remove strategic targets. Mm-hmm. So the targets are, we had people targets, they're drone and jet fighter size targets. Then you have the larger facilities, centrifuges, heavy water, command and control centers, different things that are related to the IRGC and the government that need to be eliminated. And many of these have been bombed multiple days back to back. So a jet fighter or a squadron of jet fighters comes, they drop the munitions, then we have a pass-by or flyby or intelligence, planes, drones, or satellites, and we assess the damage and we say, the facility is still up and running, let's do another pass.
Exactly.
And another pass happens, and then another pass happens. The U.S. has the ability, and this is important also for the Iranian people, to finish it in one pass. So they have the size of the bombers and the size of the munitions that in one pass, let's say there's a centrifuge facility, let's say there's an enriched uranium facility, let's say there's a massive drone or ballistic missile store that is 50, 100 feet underground. The U.S. has the ability in a matter of 24 hours, likely, to eliminate all of those strategic targets that have been built as a list together with Israel. Israel, to do the same thing, has to do hundreds of bombing missions just to obtain the same goal.
It will take
much longer.
Yeah, and Mati, and also, very important to say is that this war is against the world state sponsor of terrorism. And the United States is still the leading country in the world. And if it wants to remain this way, it should be part of this war to destroy the largest state sponsor of terrorism around the world.
Yes.
It has to be that for its own prestige and image around this globe in front of other countries. This is very important for the United States. It's important for the President Trump's legacy, and it's important for this region that the United States will be part of this attack against Iran.
Look, the truth that we're living in that was presented to us very, very clearly on October 7th, 2023.
And every day since.
Exactly, is that there is good and bad in this world. There are forces of good and there are forces of evil. Israel is a force of good. Without unequivocally, there is no doubt or question about that. We are a force of good. The United States of America is a force of good in this world.
Exactly.
Definitely in this day and age. The Iranians and their axis of friends, the Russians, the Chinese to a lesser degree, they're not a force for good. They're a force for evil. And what they do is promote evil and destruction and death around the world. And it takes only a snapshot of what they've done to the countries that they've touched in the Middle East. Their presence and their involvement has been a scorn to those countries that has demolished their economies. It has impoverished their people. It has, literally enslaved them into a bondage of violence and oppression and suffering. Look at what they've done to Yemen, a country that was already suffering. They pushed them so deep into a financial catastrophe. Look at what they've done to the Lebanese people. Look at what they've done to Syria and their involvement. Look at what they did to the Iraqi people. And people around the world are looking at that, and they fail to see the connection to the ideology behind Iran and what they've done to other countries. This isn't a legitimate player saying, look, what we want to do is this flavor of foreign policy. No, their flavor of foreign policy is death and destruction and doom to everything they touch.
Exactly.
And they need to be opposed in the strongest way possible.
How I still trying to understand how a student in Columbia University in the U.S. standing with a flag of the Ayatollah regime and demonstrating against Israel in the US, and how this fake information getting time after time to so many people without that we can in some way affecting that as...
Well, it's like what we said, Tomer. We are losing the front for the popular opinion. We are losing the front for information. It's sad that, our enemies control the narrative of what's coming out of this region. And that's what we're doing here. This is what we're doing here at TBN Israel. We upload daily videos, sometimes multiple times every day, here from the ground. We know what's happening, we feel it, we live it, and we want to share this information with you guys. But we need your help. So if you want to stand with us in sharing the truth, go to tbn.org/standwithisrael. Again, that's tbn.org/standwithisrael. Mati, there are a lot of good guys around the world. A lot. But sadly, they are not raising their voice like the bad guys that are speaking loudly.
Well, they do, but I think people forget that the majority of countries in the world are not democracies, and they don't enjoy the liberties that we do. The majority of the countries that are members of the UN are quasi-democracies on a good day, and a dictatorship on most days of the week.
Sure.
Let's be honest here. And they vote in favor of their ideology. And their ideology is maintaining power over their people and maintaining the chokehold that they have over their own people. Israel doesn't represent the majority of the countries in the world. Neither does most of Europe or the U.S. Most people don't get the freedoms that we assume are an obvious and natural progression of life. And because of that, they often speak lies about what happens in the world, and they try to divert attention from what they're trying to do to their own people. But there's another element, and that's spiritual.
Exactly.
And the fact that what happens here is a test of faith for people. And I'll explain that. When Israel succeeds, it indicates that the biblical narrative is a truthful narrative. And if Israel fails and Iran succeeds, it indicates that the Islamic narrative of radicalizing the world and taking control over the other monotheistic religions, Judaism and Christianity primarily, that one prevails over them. This is a battle in the biblical sense of my God is stronger than your God.
Exactly.
And we've, I think, shown the world that statement is incorrect, that our God is stronger than theirs. Their God is a false God, and this is a true God. And I'll tell you something else. True Muslims around the world look at what Iran does and look at what Hamas does, and they say, I think it was the Emirati ambassador that says this after he saw the October 7th film. They came back the next day with an official statement that said, this is not Islam.
Yeah.
This is not what we believe in. And these people have been corrupted by an evil that doesn't represent what they're supposed to believe in. It is diabolical in its nature, and it needs to be opposed as such. And they're coming after us in a way that isn't about political goals. It's not about changing the government here. It's not about shifting GDP. What they're trying to do is destroy our way of life and our belief system, and they've been open about it. And the only way to stop that is to cut the head off the snake. Exactly. That's the only way to do that.
Exactly. And Mati, to end on a positive note, this podcast...
That is a positive note, yeah.
No, okay, cutting the head of the snake, very positive. Okay, but to end here on an optimistic sign, this whole war is proving again and again that our God is a faithful God, yes, and that He's performing huge miracles, biblical scale miracles on a daily basis.
Yes.
So guys, if you have troubles in your life, if you're struggling, just turn on the TV or the YouTube and go to TBN Israel. Check out what happens in Israel in this region. Israel and us, we have been fighting against multiple enemies. I'm talking about 7 different fronts all together, and we are winning. We are winning against huge armies, thousands of missiles, and more and more. And we're not winning because we are so smart or because we have the best military chiefs and everything.
Not just because of that.
Yeah, Mati is quite smart and is a good,
you're smart too.
Very good officer. So we do have great guys, but it's all because God is faithful. He's faithful to His promises to the people of Israel, and yes, He's faithful and will be faithful to His promises to you. And the second thing is that He performs miracles today, not just in the Bible times, today in Israel, in the scale of opening the Red Sea. That's what's happening now in Israel. So open your eyes, look, be encouraged, and pray, because prayer works, our God listens, and I think that's about it for today, Mati. Thank you so much.
That was a positive note. Yeah.
And guys, thank you for joining us. Keep praying for Israel. Keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for Mati Shoshani to have a great week of his birthday. Pray for our team here. And subscribe and keep sharing the truth from Israel. And we'll see you again next time.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.